I'm Morris, 29, and I'm standing in a bank conference room watching my brother-in-law's smirk dissolve in real time. 3 hours ago, he was laughing. Now he's looking at a federal agent like a deer in headlights. But before I tell you how we got here, I need you to decide something. If your family stole everything you had because they thought you were weak, would you forgive them or would you destroy them? Drop your answer now because what I did next will either make me a hero or a monster in your eyes. The reunion was at my sister Claire's house in Naperville, the kind of sprawling suburban palace with a 3-car garage and a kitchen island big enough to land a helicopter on. Her husband Derek was grilling Wagyu steaks he kept reminding everyone cost $80 a pound. My mom was taking selfies by the pool. My dad was nursing his third bourbon, telling the same story about his college football days to anyone who'd listen. I was the entertainment, the cautionary tale, the one who still hadn't figured it out. "Morris," Derek called out, his voice carrying that particular frequency of condescension that rich people mistake for friendliness. "When are you going to get a real job, man? How long can you live in that shoebox apartment writing code for minimum wage?" I smiled. I'd practiced that smile for 6 years. "Working on it, Derek." "He's 29, my sister stage whispered to our cousin Lisa. "Still single, still broke, still trying." The word trying landed like a slap. It was their favorite word for me. Morris is trying. Give him credit for trying. At least he's trying. What they didn't know, what I had spent 6 years making absolutely certain they would never know, was that I wasn't trying anymore. I had already won. But I needed them to think I was losing. I needed them hungry. I needed them desperate enough to make a mistake. So I played the part. I wore the same hoodie I'd worn to the last 3 reunions. I drove my 2008 Honda Civic with the dented bumper. I lived in a 450-square-foot studio in a neighborhood where the L train rattled the windows every 12 minutes. And when my family asked what I did for work, I told them I was a freelance software consultant. Which was technically true. I just left out the part where I had designed the fraud detection algorithm currently used by 60% of cryptocurrency exchanges worldwide. I left out the part where 3 venture capital firms were in a bidding war for my company. I left out the part where my bank account had 7 figures in it. I left out the part where I was about to test whether blood was thicker than greed. The test started when I went to the bathroom. I left my phone on the patio table, unlocked, face up. The banking app opened to my main account, the decoy account I'd set up specifically for this. Balance, $847,293.42. I had made sure the screen would stay on for 5 minutes, then I walked inside, counting slowly. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. I made it to 43 before I heard Derek's voice drop to a whisper. When I came back outside, my phone was exactly where I'd left it, but the angle was different. Someone had picked it up, looked at it, and tried to put it back perfectly. They hadn't. I unlocked it casually, checked my messages, and slipped it into my pocket. Then I waited. It took 48 hours. I was at my favorite ramen place when my phone buzzed. A notification for my bank. Attempted external transfer, $50,000. Declined. Reason? Insufficient secondary authorization. Then another. Attempted external transfer, $100,000. Declined. Then a text from Claire. "Hey, Morris, Derek and I were thinking, you've been working so hard. Why don't you invest in something stable? Derek knows a guy who does wealth management, could turn that freelance money into something real. Just trying to help. Heart." The heart emoji was a nice touch. I didn't respond. I waited. 3 days later, I got the call I'd been expecting. "Morris," it was my mom. Her voice had that tight, performative concern she used when she wanted something. "Honey, your father and I have been talking. We think you need help managing your finances. You're not good with money. You never have been. We'd like to set up a family trust for your own protection." A trust, I repeated, my voice neutral. Derek would be the trustee, of course. He went to Wharton. He knows what he's doing. We just want to make sure you're taken care of. There it was. The play. They had seen the money. They had tried to transfer it and failed. Now they wanted legal control. They wanted to steal my life savings while looking like they were helping me. Let me think about it, I said. Don't think too long, sweetie. Opportunities like this don't wait. I hung up and smiled. Not the practiced smile I used at reunions, the real one, the one I saved for when a trap snapped shut exactly as designed. I called my lawyer. They took the bait. Start phase 2. They called it a family meeting. I called it an ambush. It was at my parents' house. Everyone was there. Claire and Derek, my cousins, my aunt and uncle. They'd even brought in Father Murphy from the church my mom attended twice a year on Christmas and Easter. The living room felt like a tribunal. I was directed to the chair in the center. Everyone else formed a semicircle around me. My mom started. "Morris, we love you. We're worried about you." Derek jumped in, his voice taking on that professional consultant tone he probably used to upsell middle managers on useless seminars. "Morris, wealth without strategy is just luck, and luck runs out. We want to help you build something sustainable." "You've never been good with money," Claire added, her voice soft, nurturing, venomous. "Remember when you were 16 and you spent your whole paycheck on comic books?" "I was 16, I said quietly. "Exactly," my father cut in, his bourbon breath reaching me from 6 feet away. "You don't have the maturity to handle this kind of money. Let us help you." I looked around the room, at the faces of people who were supposed to love me, and I saw it clearly, the narcissistic ledger. I had been the liability for 6 years, the broke little brother, the disappointment, the one they could pity and feel superior to. But now my value had changed. I wasn't a liability anymore. I was an asset, an $847,000 asset that they wanted to liquidate while looking like they were helping me. Father Murphy cleared his throat. "Morris, pride is a sin. Accepting help is a sign of wisdom." I almost laughed. They brought in a priest to make theft sound like salvation. "Okay," I said. I let my shoulders slump. I let my voice crack just a little. "Okay, you're right. I don't know what I'm doing. I need help." The relief in the room was palpable. Derek pulled out a folder, he'd already had the trust documents drawn up, and slid it across the coffee table. "Just sign here, here, and here," he said, pointing with a gold pen that probably cost more than my monthly rent. "We'll take care of everything." I picked up the pen. I held it over the signature line. Then I put it down. "Actually," I said, my voice changing registers entirely, "I need to show you something first." I pulled out my laptop. I opened it on the coffee table and turned it so everyone could see the screen. "This," I said, "is the real-time activity log for my bank account, the decoy account you've all been so interested in." Derek's face went white. On September 3rd, at 9:47 p.m., someone used my phone to photograph my banking information. The metadata shows the photo was taken from the patio at Claire and Derek's house. The IP address of the device matches Derek's phone. I clicked to the next screen. On September 5th and 6th, there were 6 attempted unauthorized transfers from my account, all from the same IP address, Derek's home office. Claire grabbed Derek's arm. "What is he talking about?" "And here," I continued, my voice perfectly calm, "is the real interesting part, the destination account for those transfers, an LLC called Summit Wealth Holdings, registered in Delaware 3 weeks ago. The principal? Derek Manning." I turned the laptop so everyone in the room could see the incorporation documents. "He set up a shell company to steal my money, and then he recruited all of you," I gestured around the room, "to help him do it legally." My mother stood up. "Morris, that's ridiculous. Derek wouldn't—" I have the server logs, Mom. I have the transfer attempts. I have the trust documents that would give him complete control of my assets with no oversight. And I have something else. I clicked to a new window. It was a video file. I pressed play. The footage was from a security camera I'd hidden in my gym bag at the reunion. The angle showed the patio table. It showed me walking inside. And then 43 seconds later, it showed Derek picking up my phone, his eyes going wide, calling Claire over, both of them staring at the screen. You could read their lips clearly. Holy shit, he has almost $1 million. He doesn't even know what to do with it. We could help him. We could manage it. We could take it. The room went silent. It was the heavy, suffocating silence of a trap closing. Derek tried to speak. That's out of context. We were just... I interrupted. You were committing conspiracy to commit wire fraud, which is a federal crime, which is why I've already filed a complaint with the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. I pulled out my phone and showed them the email confirmation from the federal agent assigned to my case. They're very interested in Summit Wealth Holdings, especially since this isn't the first time you've done this, is it, Derek? Derek's face went from white to gray. Did you think I wouldn't check? I'm a cybersecurity specialist. I built fraud detection algorithms. Finding patterns is literally what I do. I pulled up another screen. On 2019, you convinced your Aunt Marjorie to put her retirement savings into an investment opportunity. She lost $180,000. In 2021, you managed to get power of attorney over your grandfather before he died. His estate was supposed to be worth $400,000. By the time you were done managing it, there was $50,000 left. Claire was staring at her husband like she'd never seen him before. Derek? This is bullshit. Derek lunged forward, but my cousin grabbed his arm. I didn't move. I just looked at him. You called me a failure for 6 years. You made me the family joke, the loser little brother who couldn't get his life together. You needed me to be that, because if I was the failure, you could be the success. If I was the charity case, you could be the savior. I picked up my laptop and I closed it. But I was never the failure, Derek. I was the bait, and you bit down so hard you're going to choke on it. I turned to my parents, to Claire, to everyone in the room who had sat there and participated in this intervention designed to rob me. The money you saw isn't even real. Well, it is, but that account is what we call a honeypot in my industry. It's designed to attract thieves so you can document their behavior. The real money, the money from actually selling my cybersecurity company for $8.3 million, the money from my patents, the money I actually have, you'll never see it because it's protected by legal structures you can't touch and security you can't breach. My mother started crying. Morris, we were trying to help. No, I said, and my voice was cold enough to stop her mid-sentence. You were trying to help yourselves. There's a difference. I walked toward the door. Then I stopped and turned back. Derek, the FBI will be contacting you within 48 hours. I'd get a lawyer, a real one, not whatever Wharton buddy you were planning to split my money with. I looked at Claire. I'm sorry you married a con artist, but you participated. You knew what he was doing, so you're going to have to live with that. Then I looked at my parents. This was the hardest part. You chose him over me. You believed I was too stupid to manage my own life. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave me alone, completely. No calls, no texts, no surprise visits. You wanted to take everything from me. Instead, you just lost a son. I walked out. I got in my dented Honda, and I drove away from the house I grew up in for the last time. The FBI moved faster than I expected. Derek was indicted 6 weeks later. Wire fraud, conspiracy, elder financial abuse for the thing with his grandfather. The case was airtight because I'd handed them everything gift-wrapped. Claire filed for a divorce. She called me once, crying, asking if I'd testify on her behalf that she didn't know. I told her the video showed her standing next to Derek when he picked up my phone. I told her I wouldn't lie under oath. She hung up. My parents tried to reach out through Father Murphy. He called to tell me they were heartbroken and wanted to reconcile. I asked him if reconciliation included returning the $50,000 they'd borrowed from me 4 years ago for their kitchen renovation, the money they'd promised to pay back, the money they'd never mentioned again once they decided I was too much of a failure to expect repayment from. Father Murphy stopped calling. Derek's trial is in 3 months. I'll be there. Not in the gallery, on the stand, as the primary witness for the prosecution. But here's the part that matters, the part that makes this more than just revenge. I took the real money, the money they never saw, the money from actually selling my cybersecurity company for $8.3 million, and I started a foundation. It's called Second Chance Financial Literacy. We teach young people from dysfunctional families how to protect themselves financially, how to spot financial abuse, how to create legal structures that keep predatory relatives away from their assets. We've helped 847 people in the first year. Every single one of them has a story like mine. Families who saw them as ATMs, relatives who wanted to help by taking control. I hired my old roommate from college, Jake, who'd been studying social work, to run the workshops. I hired a team of lawyers who work pro bono to set up protective trusts for our clients. We don't just teach people about money, we give them armor. Last week, I got an email from a woman named Sophie. Her parents had tried to force her to sign her inheritance from her grandmother. She'd come to our workshop. We'd helped her set up protections. When her parents showed up with papers, she was ready. She said no. She set boundaries. She kept her money and lost her abusers. She thanked me. She said she'd saved her life. I didn't save her life. I just showed her she could save herself. I'm sitting in my new apartment now. It's not palace like Claire's house. It's a modest 2-bedroom in Lincoln Park with exposed brick and large windows that let in morning light. I can afford a penthouse. I choose not to, because I learned something from watching Derek drown in his own greed. Wealth isn't about what you show people. It's about what you can do when no one's watching. My phone is sitting on my desk, my real phone, with my real accounts, with my real life on it. And it's locked with biometrics and encryption that would take a government agency 6 months to crack. I don't leave it lying around anymore. Not because I'm paranoid, because I'm careful. There's a difference. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with a woman from the FBI's Victim Services Division. She wants to partner with my foundation to expand our work nationally. She says financial abuse by family members is one of the underreported crimes in America. She says most victims never fight back because they think blood is thicker than greed. But I know better. Blood might be thick, but greed is thicker. And shame is thickest of all. The shame of admitting your family saw you as a piggy bank. The shame of admitting the people who were supposed to love you only loved what you could give them. I carried that shame for 6 years. I weaponized it. And then I used it to build something that makes sure other people don't have to carry it alone. Derek's lawyer called me last week. He wanted to discuss a settlement. He suggested that if I withdrew my testimony, Derek might avoid jail time. He said I could have my family back. I told him I never had a family. I had people who shared my DNA and wanted my money. Then I hung up. The coffee shop where I'm working today is loud. People chattering, espresso machine hissing, someone's baby crying near the window. But underneath all that noise, there's a silence. The peaceful silence of a closed case. The silence of knowing I don't owe anyone anything anymore. I'm not the failure they needed me to be. I'm not the victim they tried to make me. I'm the person who saw them coming from a mile away and built a fortress they couldn't breach. And every day, I help someone else build their own fortress. Because the best revenge isn't destroying your enemies, it's making sure they can't destroy anyone else. Derek snorted. "We needed it more than you," when I confronted him in front of the FBI. He said it like he believed it, like his Wharton degree and his $80 steaks and his 3-car garage meant he deserved my money more than I did. The federal agent just wrote it down, added it to the file, evidence of motive. Sometimes the villain tells you exactly who they are. You just have to make sure someone's recording when they do it. I was. And now Derek has 7 to 10 years to think about whether he really needed it that badly after all.